Welcome to openmentor.net. Our motto is the whole world can learn for free. In this series of sessions, we are talking about HR domain. In the last few sessions, we talked about departments, divisions, recruitment process, onboarding of employees, and then the last one we talked about allocating to project, extension and release from the project, and then we also talked about transfer of employees and infrastructure changes that go as part of transfers. In this we are going to talk about performance appraisal. Performance appraisal is a process through which you evaluate the employee's performance over a period of time. It may be happening soon after every project, or every 6 months, or every 1 year. Usually companies may not postpone beyond a year, but doing it within the performance appraisal starts with this appraisal calendar. Appraisal calendar meaning the whole company need not be appraised. Certain employees may be appraised from January to March, certain others from April to June. It can happen. Or you may even have one uniform calendar for the whole company. They will define the appraisal calendar. Appraisal 2010, April 2010 to March 2011, something like that. Or June 2010 to May 2011, something like that. So the HR will define the calendar. Then map people who are eligible for appraisal. This needs to be done because if the company has got 10,000 employees, not 10,000 employees will be eligible for appraisal. Only X number of people will be appraisal out of this total 10,000 people. Who are the people who are eligible for appraisal? There will be some criteria. They will say you would have joined 9 months or before, or you should have worked here for this much period of time. So they will define a criteria to choose people who are eligible for appraisal. Once this is done, then there needs to be another mapping. Who will be appraising whom? Because obviously you have to appraise yourself, at the same time your manager has to do, but it need not be current manager. You may be given feedback by 3 different managers. So who should give appraisal? So they will define levels of appraisal for everyone who are eligible for appraisal. Some people may have only 2 levels of appraisal. Some people may have 3 levels of appraisal. So levels of appraisal will be done. But usually these levels will be, first will be you doing self appraisal. Second will be immediate manager. Third, fourth and all can be past managers and other people, or a manager above your manager, something like that. So the levels of appraisal will be defined. Then they will define, HR will do a rating scale. Usually this rating scale will be from 1 to 5. 5 being highest, they will say 5 means excellent, and then 4 means good, something like that. Because the scale needs to be uniform for all the people, otherwise you cannot compare and contrast. If I use one scale for one group, another scale for another group, but both fall under the same role, it will be confusing. So define the rating scale. Usually it will be 1 to 5. But in some companies they may even define the scale differently. Then most importantly, appraisal points or appraisal items, right? This will be defined. This means a set of points for which rating is to be given. Simple example, did you deliver on time? Are you punctual? Like this. Any complaints by others on you? There may be different sets of points, questions, checklist item against which the rating has to be given. This may vary from role to role. The questions that a developer gets need not be the question a tester gets. The question a clerk gets need not be the question for a branch manager in a bank gets. The set of questions and points that an insurance collection agent is having may not be the same as a insurance planning agent. So this is the most important point, and there should be weightages for each. This means if I have 100 questions, not 100 questions having the same weightage. In some cases your technical abilities will have more weightage. In some cases your communication will have more weightage. In some cases your interpersonal skills will have more weightage. In some cases your ability to interact with customers will have more weightage. Depending upon the role, the weightages for these points will be different. So this will be defined. The rating scale and the set of rating points and the weightages will be configured. Then what will happen is HR will publish this to all people eligible for eligible for appraisal. First you need to fill up the form, or it may be an online appraisal, usually in the HR system. So you go and then you do a self-rating. You assign a mark to yourself. There will be a total marks that you have got. There will be a weighted average for that. Then you will be appraised by your manager. What manager thinks about your performance? You may rate yourself as 5, your manager may give 3, or in some case you may rate yourself as 4, your manager may rate you as 5. There may be some conflicts here and there, but the manager will do that, and then there will be a face-to-face meeting between the manager and you, discussing about each point. There may be contradictions, there may be acceptance, but it will happen. Once this is done, again next level it will go. So all the levels for every point, appraisal point, the scores will be given. Finally you will have a total weighted average, right? For example, item A, my score is 5, and weight is say 5%. The weighted average is 5 star 5%, right? It means 0.25. Then item B, score is 4, weight is 10%. That means you get 0.4, right? Like this, item by item, you have a score, you have a weight, finally get the weighted average, total of weighted average score. Once this is calculated, this gives a number about you. Based on my self score, my weighted average is, let us say, 8.75, something like that. Let us assume something like that. My level 1 score, weighted average score, is say 8.5. My level 2 score is 8.4. That means I thought about myself as 8.75. My manager thinks about 8.5. His manager or her manager thinks about 8.4. That means it is not grossly varying. Whereas imagine this situation. Self is 8.8. Level 1 appraisal by the manager says you are 6.2. Another manager in the level 2 says that you are 5.0. That means you are not meeting the expectations of the other people. You may think that you are great, but the way other people think about you is different. So this way, the performance appraisal, if the ratings that you have given is not varying by 10% from what you thought about yourself, that means you are able to understand others' expectations and work. But if this is more than that, then there's a problem. You think in one way, other people think in the other way. If there is a variation beyond 10%, somewhere the expectations are not met, right? Or they were not made clear. So the appraisals will have all these things. So HR will collect the score by every person based on the system, and then they always do one thing called normalizations. Normalization across departments and company. The reason is some project managers are generous. Some project managers are bad. I won't say bad, it's a wrong word. Maybe very strict, right? Even to give additional 1 point, they may be asking 100 questions. But some project managers are liberal. You might have seen that in your schools and colleges when your teachers are correcting your papers. So what they will do is, within the department, they will correct it. Same way, across the company, they will normalize it so that you will have one common base scale against which you can compare. Then this will be the base for promotions and hikes. So what they will do is, based on the normalization, they will say score between 1 and 5. That means underperformers. Between 5 and 7, meeting expectations. 7 and 8.5, they will say exceeding expectations. And 8.5 and above, this means stars. So your company will decide how many people fall in what bracket. They will say people from 8.5 and above, since they are stars, they get the maximum hike and promotions. In this range, they will have, okay, these guys may get anywhere between 10 and 12% of hike. These persons will get anywhere between 4 and 8% of hike. These persons may not even get hike or may even be fired. We don't know. So HR has to normalize and then arrive at the distribution of people based on their performance and decide who goes to the next level of pay and responsibility. This is how the appraisal happens in the HR system. I'll stop here. In the next session, we will talk about promotions and other stuff. Thank you.